You have to love what you create. And I don't mean this in a lie to yourself and just convince yourself everything you do is genius. If you can improve, obviously you want to be clear eyed about that and make improvements as you develop as an artist. But really, what I mean by love what you create is don't copy other people, don't chase trends for a few reasons. If it's not authentic to you, if you're not genuinely enthusiastic about making that kind of music, you're going to burn out. You're not going to be proud of it. It's going to feel weird. But also, by the time you catch up to a trend, it's always moved on. So if you think, copying Lizzo right now, or I don't even know, someone newer than Lizzo, someone in 2022, you start copying them. By the time your album's finished, the world has moved on. So even from like a business marketing perspective, it's a terrible idea. And I've had a couple friends who built an audience and their career was going very well, and they got managers involved, and these were managers who came in and said like, we're going to take things to the next level. I just need you to make a few tweaks to your sound. And they'd come in with like a template, like they'd have a Spotify playlist of 5 or 10 songs and be like, I need you to do all these things that Adele is doing, or that was one of the people that was on this list at the time. And because this was a professional industry expert who had a plan, had connections, had resources, the artists did what they were asked. They became a team player and they tried to craft music that fit that mold and that template. And it didn't work exactly. I mean, the music's decent. It wasn't like terrible music, but it didn't lead to the results that either the manager or the artist expected. And ultimately, the artist moved on and was like, I want to get back to my roots. And now there's this whole like phase of 2 or 3 years of their life and their creative output that was put towards something they couldn't 100% stand behind. So, and that's happened a couple times to friends of mine, so don't do that.
Yeah, and one thing I would highlight in what you just said, and like love what you create, love what you do, and really tap into what you think is the special sauce that you provide in musical creation and output. Because what you're saying doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be successful. I've seen it so many times where artists chase a trend and might even see some success and they're like, this isn't who I am. This isn't what I want to do. And I think, especially, going back quite a few years when VH1 used to have the Behind the Music series, that theme would come up a lot. Like, we were seeing success, but this wasn't who we were. This wasn't what we wanted to create. We were chasing trends. And so we're not talking about whether or not you're successful with this. We're talking about how you feel about the music you're creating, because, you can create music that's popular that you hate. And lots of artists do it. But this is about the idea of like loving what you do, because if you love what you do, I think that's going to be infectious with your fans. It's going to connect with the people that you want to connect with. And also, it's that self satisfaction, because at the end of the day, when you're doing a creative endeavor, you want to set something there and go, yeah, I made that. I did that. I'm excited about it. I love what I just did. It doesn't matter if anyone else loves it. I love it. That's why I made it.
Yeah. Well, the world doesn't need second-rate versions of artists, it already has. It needs you to be yourself. So, you
Yeah.
might as well just make the music you wanna make.
And this is different from having influences and people that you really like what they're doing. We're not saying don't have influences, don't have artists that you're like, I like these records and I want creatively to go in this direction. That's different. We're talking about feeling like you have to jump on the bandwagon on a trend, copy, imitate, to the point where you're not being an artist anymore. You're just trying to hijack a trend, which lots of people try to do. And honestly, this is one of the things I had to deal with as an artist. When I started playing guitar, it was still the era of the guitar heroes, all these mega guitar players that could play 1,000 notes per second and go up and down the neck. And that's just not my musical gifting, both with how I think about music and even just my finger dexterity. Then I went to Nashville to college, and that's in your face even more. And you're going to school for guitar, and that's what everybody does. And it's like, that's not really me. And I've at some point had to come to the realization of who I was as a guitar player, what I thought I did that was uniquely me and I could do well, and be okay with it, and then just lean into it and know that this is what I do, and not being able to do those other things, that's okay. That's okay.
Well, maybe the flip side of doing what you love is embracing your limitations. It sounds like that's what you did. You're like, I'm never going to be Eric Johnson or Steve Vai, so I'll be more like, I don't know, David Gilmour, someone who just knows I play pretty slow, but I can sure make some great riffs and melodies. I'm sure Tom Waits like pretty quickly realized he wasn't going to sing opera, so he leaned into what his deficiencies were in a way.